Welcome to the setup guide for the GT Customer Self-Service channel, the home for GT documentation. This video will walk through how to activate your access and navigate the channel. Your organization has identified you as a resource and you've now been granted access to the self-service channel. You should have received an email from Microsoft Teams saying you've been added as a guest to the channel. Click on the Open Microsoft Teams button. If you already have a Microsoft account, sign in here with that user ID and password. If you do not have a Microsoft account, you will need to create one. I am creating an account here without using Google. First, I am asked to create a password for my Microsoft account. Next, I am told a validation email will be sent to me, and it will return a code to put back in the web browser. Once I enter my code, I'm hitting Next. Finally, I'm asked to validate that I am a real person and enter the code that I see above. Now that I've created my account, I am now shown the permissions of using the Gideon Taylor Consulting Team site. Once I accept the below conditions, I'm allowed into the Teams site. Next, I am asked how I want to open Microsoft Teams. I have two options here. I can either download the Windows app or use the web app instead. I'm going to click on the Use Web App instead to open in my internet browser. Your setup is now complete and we can begin to explore the materials available to you on the team site. First, you'll see I have two teams in my view. Our standard access is with the GT Customer Self-Service Team. For those of you who are identified as technical resources, you may also have the online GT library. We'll talk more about this teams in a little bit. Let's start with the GT Self-Service Team. If I open the team, I will see there are two channels. The General tab is not currently being used and there are no documents in this File tab. I'm going to select the Documentation channel. Here I can see any announcements that have been posted. Also, please note, this is not an actively monitored chat, so if you have any questions, please email us at support@gideontaylor.com. The Files tab is where you'll find folders containing our GT documentation. You will find materials from our configuration training, our latest release notes, tips and tricks, and the GT eForms feature documentation. The feature documentation contains written explanations of the features of the GT eForms framework. If you don't know where to start, the recommended reading order for GT documentation is a great first step. You'll notice with all of our documentation, we always have a Word document version of the file and a PDF version for you. To sort the sections numerically, I will click on the name to apply the sorting. Now you can see all 8 sections in numerical order. Let's talk about what kind of articles you'll find within each of these sections. In Section 1, this is the functional setup, which is based on the GT functional setup folder within our framework. Section 2 is based on the GT technical setup folder within our framework. The form setup section is going to have all of the documents related to your form setup page and the tabs that show on that page. You'll also find the article here on how to use the admin tool and the form transporter. Section 4 has your form engine. This is how you add additional functionality to the form, including Work Center articles, search record, and highlighting. The logic engine has additional functionality for logic on your form, like visual ifs. The workflow engine will show documents regarding how to enable your workflow, like AWE configuration, ad hoc, and form statuses and actions. The technical development folder has an API and is also based on the GT utilities folder. Section 8 bolt-ons is additional features that can be added to your framework once you have installed it in your environment. Finally, the security folder has permission lists based on the delivered GT roles. If you are searching for documentation on a specific topic, we suggest performing a search in SharePoint. To do so, click the Open in SharePoint button at the top of your screen. In a new window, SharePoint will then open up. The search bar is in the left-hand corner. I want to search for all documentation that includes an explanation on AWE. Once I add that into my search, I am then provided with a list of results, including the articles that have AWE. I'm going to return to my Teams tab to go through the remaining documents. I'm going to click back on my breadcrumbs to the documentation folder to return to my four main folders. The configuration training materials has information from our configuration training and our technical extension training. You can open the folders to find a PDF version of the slides and training aids from their configuration training. The latest release notes folder contains the release notes from the last service pack that GT released. The tips and trick folder is broken down into a functional and a technical section. Within each of these sections, you'll find how-to guides, templates, and other information that will help you use the GT framework. To stay up to date with the latest information, you also might want to turn on your channel notifications. The three-dot menu can be opened, and the first option is channel notifications. Here, I can set my notification settings to all new posts and when this channel is mentioned. Hit Save to confirm those selections. Now, let's talk about the online GT library team. If you've been identified by your organization as a technical resource, you will also be given access to this team. The online GT library has 3 channels which we are currently using. The General tab is not being used and there is no documentation under the Files tab. The 3.x Form Solution channel is our library of existing forms that can be used as a starting point and further customized for your solution. The folders are broken down by application type. To see additional details, click on the Open in SharePoint link and view the description column to see how the form was initially used when it was built. Let's go back to Teams and explore the last 2 channels. The bolt-ons channel has code to install the bolt-ons to the GT eForms framework to your system. If multiple versions are available, click on the applicable version. Finally, the Framework Updates channel has patches and service packs. Please ensure that you read the migration guides before you attempt to install any updates to your environments. You've now explored the whole team site. If you have any questions, please email us at support@gideontaylor.com. Thanks for watching.